In this episode we're going to take an in-depth look into sharks, and in particular getting used to these animals and spearfishing around them. I'll cover off how to stay calm and confident around sharks, their body language, how sharks feed, their sensory systems, and how these senses affect their prey drive. We'll talk about where they live and hunt, and tips on overcoming fear of sharks. I'll also go into a bit of detail on what is known as the big four shark species, which are great whites, tiger sharks, bull sharks, and oceanic whitetip sharks. The latter isn't to be confused with whitetip reef sharks. Initially it can be quite hard to get used to sharks while spearfishing because we're hardwired to an extent to fear certain types of animals, such as venomous spiders, reptiles, and large predatory animals. Being relaxed around sharks can easily be learned by most people, and with the right mindset and techniques we can not only enjoy the time spent with these animals, but we can also use them to give us an idea of what's happening in the water on a particular spot during any given day. Now, sharks can be an incredibly good sign when it comes to reading fish habitat. They do not only position themselves in areas with large amounts of available food, but fish are also attracted to sharks because of a symbiotic relationship where fish benefit from sharks feeding. An extreme example of this relationship would be the remora, which is a fish that has a suction pad that allows it to ride on large marine animals and sharks, and also pilotfish, which spend their entire lives with a marine animal host. Both of these fish feed on the host's parasites and food scraps, and it's been said that pilotfish have followed a boat that has caught their particular shark for up to 6 weeks afterwards. A lot of the species that we target as spearos hang around sharks. I often find sharks nearby, schools of snapper, and often see pelagic species such as kingfish schooling on sharks. Now, before we go any further, I think it's important to cover off a shark's senses so we can get a picture of the way that sharks see their world and how these senses affect their prey drive. Now, studies have shown that sharks have keen colour eyesight, and similar to night hunters like cats, they possess a mirror-like layer in the back of their eye that enhances their sensitivity to light at around 10 times that of human eyesight. It is also no secret that sharks have an incredibly powerful sense of smell, and this comes as no surprise considering that a shark's nostrils are solely for smelling and obviously not for breathing. There is also very strong evidence to suggest that sharks do not interpret human blood as a potential food source. And it does make sense that a 400 million year old predatory animal has not adapted to hunt something outside of its environment. To put it simply, sharks eat fish, and their keen sense of smell is honing into a target fish's oil and blood. It pays to bear in mind though that there is a possible exception of sharks that have evolved to eat mammals such as the great white, as seal urine also may be an attractant. If sharks did see humans as a food source, my guess would be a death toll in the 5-figure range annually. Sharks also possess the lateral line system that we covered extensively in the fish hunting episodes, as it is an important system to understand that can give you a real edge when it comes to spearing fish. Now, the lateral line system is a series of sense organs that run down the length of a shark. They allow it to feel pressure changes in the water and aid in schooling behavior. They help the shark orientate itself and aid in finding and honing in on prey. Now, a classic example of the lateral line sensors in action would be watching baitfish schooling in real life or on nature documentaries, when you see all the fish turn together on a dime. This is the lateral line system in effect, as the fish are essentially reading the neighbouring fish's vibrations. Now, the lateral line works as a giant type of ear, but as well as that, they can pick up low frequencies with their hearing. And this system works in conjunction with the lateral line to hone in on prey at a distance. Sharks also possess another sensory system that is not shared by the majority of the fish species that we hunt, which is electroreception. Sharks use electroreceptors called ampullae of Lorenzini, which are a passive form of electrolocation, as opposed to an active form of electrolocation, where an animal produces its own electric field and detects disturbances within that field. Now the shark's passive electroreception allows it to hone in on a prey animal's bioelectrical signal, which complements their other sensory systems like smell, particularly in dirty water, white water, or at night time. It is also believed that the ampullae of Lorenzini play a major role in orientation and long distance travel. And there is behavioural evidence to suggest that sharks can navigate by using the Earth's magnetic field. Now, assuming that you have a fear or uncomfortableness with the idea of swimming with a shark, or even just a curiosity as to how you're going to react when you first see one, overcoming fear of sharks is easy in principle, but it can be quite difficult to put into practice, depending on where you live. Here in New Zealand, we only really see our local reef shark, the bronze whaler, in numbers during summer. And encounters do happen in winter, but they're quite rare. The key to overcoming any fear is to watch them in person, in real time. Now, as sharks are a big animal and need to conserve energy when they're not committed to feeding, in general circumstances they come across quite calm and relaxed. A lot of times I have introduced people to sharks and they've said how surprised that they were with how relaxed the animal was, and watching a shark was instantly fascinating rather than fearful. Now, I have to admit that the shark that I'm speaking about is a large common reef shark that doesn't get much bigger than 2.5 to 3 meters in length, as opposed to a 4+ meter long tiger shark. But the same principle of learning in person how they act is key. Being approached directly by a shark can be intimidating at first, but once you learn their behavior and how a spear prod to the nose, if they happen to come close enough, will send them packing, then you'll find that your outlook really begins to change, and this can really benefit your fish hunting. Now, I do also believe that watching shark behavior on a screen in videos can help to an extent. However, things become a lot more real when you're in a situation where the shark is obviously going to be reacting to your own real-time decisions and behavior. Now, a spearfishing mentor or a person with shark experience can be ideal for peace of mind and reassurance the first time that you swim with a shark. However, it is often not up to you when you'll see one. And getting this monkey off your back, it can take a bit of time, especially with Murphy's Law. If you encounter your first shark and the adrenaline packs on, it can often mean that recalling information can be quite difficult. So I'll break down this topic into 3 easy steps, which are stay calm, maintain vision, and create a barrier. Now, before I break down these topics, I'll give you an idea of what seasoned sparrow usually does when they spot a shark, just so you can understand.